Hey guys, what's going on? It is Ash here, coming at you today in Clash Royale, and the balance update has hit this morning, and oh my lord, this might have had the biggest impact on the game than any other balance update that we've seen, certainly than any that we've seen in quite a while. It seems that Goizen is all but dead. The few who are remaining using it right now in ladder and tournament play are quickly realizing that it might not be quite as powerful as it once was. Not only Goizen decks though, but even some of the decks that I absolutely loved, especially Minor Control. I mean, that was the one deck that I felt like I was actually above average at, and womp womp, that is kind of dead too, at least the variation that I was using, really relying heavily on that poison spell. So is poison dead? I don't think it's dead, but it's certainly not as OP as it once was. But speaking of OP, have you guys seen this deck? It's been absolutely everywhere, at least in Elite Gaming today. I woke up this morning and at least my time, the update balance had already hit, but I think it was King Cats in our clan who, right after the update hit, he started using this composition, and it is absolutely blown up. At one point, I think everybody in the clan, it seemed like, was sharing the replays using this deck at basically Grand Challenge after Grand Challenge, win after win, using this composition, really relying heavily on the 3-card combination of the recently buffed Golem, the recently crazily buffed Skeleton Army, it seems like it's in every single deck Skeleton Army, and the 3rd card being the Goblin Barrel. Now it does have the Log as well. The Log is the only legendary card, and the Log buff is really nice too. You can see the Log range right now is such that it can take out the Princess if she is standing directly in front of the King Tower without actually activating the King Tower. So you can tell really precision range on that Log now, where you can, it gives you more leeway to play in your own lane defensively and still hit your opponent's target without having to play it directly on the bridge as it previously was. On top of that, like I said, you can take out the Princess if she's standing right in front of the King Tower on your opponent's side of the map. So beyond that, guys, a lot of supplemental cards to make this deck successful. You can see it has both the spirits, the Fire Spirit and the Ice Spirit. Also has the Zap spell, the Minion Horde, just giving you a lot of very, very strong Horde-like DPS options to really bait out the opponents, whatever they're using, the Zap, Poison, whatever your opponent's using now, Fireball. You just have a lot of options. You can see Trainer Nick, who's really one of our best tournament players over in Elite Gaming, a really great player with a really stellar reputation in the community. Really proud of this kid, doing a great job really repping our name. And you can see a three crown here. I think the opponent might have given up towards the very end there, maybe not, but wow, that was a really convincing win. I'm going to go over to probably a little bit of a less convincing win by yours truly, but hey, if I can win with this deck, then probably most of you guys can too. Speaking of winning, by the way, as I move on to my next match, and well, a few notes here, I'm getting ahead of myself. Number one, guys, is make sure you stay tuned to the very end of this episode, and I'm going to show you the top 10 decks that won my daily Twitter tournament today, because you guys can get a feel for some different meta decks that are having success in the tournaments. Now, granted, those players may have changed decks up a little bit after the tournament, so take that for what it's worth, but I thought it still might be interesting information for you guys. Let me go ahead and put on another replay here instead of just blabbing to you guys. So into my battle log, you can see recently I definitely have a loss or two using this deck as well, but more wins than losses, and as I said, for me, that's a real good thing. So let's go ahead and show the one against the Lava Hound deck this time. You'll see it against this Lava Hound deck. And again, hey guys, if I can win with this deck, then certainly you guys can have a lot of success with it as well. The other thing I wanted to mention, besides sticking around to the end of the episode, is have you guys seen my video on the King's Cup tournament in LA? That should be a lot of fun. I'm going there. I certainly don't think I'll win it, you know, truthfully. I don't really think any of the YouTubers will win it who will be there. We're going to be playing against some of the best players in the world. I am going to be putting out a video really clarifying the format of the tournament because there's a lot of confusion out there. and a lot of people think that Supercell is hosting this. Supercell is not hosting this. They don't have anything to do with this. This is being put on by YouTube Gaming. So, oh, by the way, guys, this guy laughed at me. What the heck? I love beating people when they laugh at you. So, maybe he wasn't being a poor sport there. I just kind of caught it. I didn't actually notice that in my original match. I was too focused on getting my golem down on the bridge here. Playing the golem super aggressively on the bridge, not sure if that's a smart idea, to be honest with you guys. Just picking up this deck, and of course against an Inferno Dragon, definitely not a smart idea, but this is really going to illustrate how powerful this deck is. Inferno Dragon and Ice Spirits. Inferno Dragon and Ice Spirits on my golem and skeleton army, and guess what? I'm still taking down that right tower. So, like you can see there, I mean, it's really tough to combat the golem, especially now that he does that splash damage to air targets as well, and at the same time, I was able to defend just fine against the baby dragon and the lava hound in the left deck. So, you can see I had to use the goblin barrel there defensively. Definitely don't want that Inferno Dragon locking onto my tower for too long. Speaking of Inferno Dragon, guys, I am so excited. I finally got the Inferno Dragon today. It's been a long day. Maybe you can tell by my voice, but I've been on the phone literally for 6 hours with Comcast today trying to get internet. I had so many awesome videos queued up for you guys. It was gonna be a 3-video day. One for Clash of Clans, one for and 2 for Clash Royale, including an expert interview, and all of that kind of fell by the wayside here. So on the agenda, besides this deck, I want to get you guys new meta decks because, as I said to open up today's video, this is a game-changing balance update. I mean, there was only a few changes, but the effects they had on the overall meta were really, really dramatic. I really can't overstate that enough here. And hey, just my opinion, but I really like the fact that Clash Royale does this. They changed the meta so dramatically. So just as people are thinking, oh, Royal Giant's getting to be really annoying and OP, they change it and they flip the script, if I can speak. They flip the script, and then all of a sudden, lava hounds are really strong. And then all of a sudden, oh, goys and giants are really, really incredibly strong, and poison's incredibly strong. It now looks like we've seen a new shift in the meta where we're going to start seeing skeleton army a heck of a lot. You gotta figure that Supercell thought to themselves, what can we do to make skeleton army actually viable? Well, I'll tell you what, when you bump up the skelly level by 5 levels and you decrease the card from 4 to 3 elixir, I think that's going to do the trick. So skeleton army is going to be absolutely everywhere. So now we're on to the last replay of today's shorter episode. It's going to be King Cats, and King Cats was the guy who I first saw using this exact deck composition. Again, this deck is relying really heavily on a number of cards besides the 3 main cards. Let's talk a little bit about the actual deck. Before this video comes to an end, I've kind of been rambling a lot this video. I'm sorry, guys. You can see the golem here in the left lane is locking onto that opponent's tower, or I should say the tower is locking onto the golem. Now, once that happens, then you want to start unleashing the volley of goblin barrels, skeleton army, whatever you have to bait out the opponent's first zap or direct damage spell. Once that is baited, then you want to go ahead and unleash your second offensive option. So let's pretend I like to start out with something really cheap. So if I have a goblin in hand, I'll wait till my opponent's tower locks onto my golem, and then I'll start out with the goblin. So hopefully you're going to bait your opponent's zap or whatever they have, or the arrows, with the goblin first, and then you can start stepping it up. You can use either the goblin or the mega minion as your first play behind the golem, and then what I like to do is go ahead and play a skeleton army or a minion horde, and then you're really putting your opponent in that awkward position of already having expended their direct damage spell, and you're going to hit them really hard. And guess what? You can afford to wait in between the units that you play. So I like to play the mega minion or the goblin first, and you can afford to wait a little bit. And look at this coming onto the opponent's tower behind this golem. That is absolutely insane. It's like one of those silly videos of troop records or whatever that you guys like. I don't understand why people like those videos. I apologize, guys. I'm not trying to diss you guys, but I've never understood the appeal to world record. Me and my friend got, 30 princesses on the map. But either way, to each their own. Let's go ahead and, as promised, kind of go through these winning decks here. 2 Expo decks winning today's Twitter tournament. third is a kind of a bolder, interesting deck. Number 4, you see the Skeleton Army is going to start popping up in a lot of these decks, but again, a giant bolder deck with lightning, no poison anymore. Now we're going to start seeing all the decks with skeletons. There were, out of the top 20 finishers in today's tournament, I counted 13 with Skeleton Army. So just goes to show you, Skeleton Army might be the new poison, and these decks with the Golem, Skeleton Army, and Goblin Barrel might be the new Goizen. We'll have to wait and see. Stay tuned to my channel. Tomorrow I have a really cool expert interview all about Siege decks, so be sure to stay tuned for that one. I thought it went really, really well. So guys, thanks so much for watching. Hope you have an absolutely amazing day, and as always, take care, guys.